Hello, I'm Alex Hall. I'm a content designer here at Co-op. I'm going to talk a little bit about our accessibility guidelines and standards. So this is a quote from a software engineer called Ben Mustill-Rose. It's from our last Accessibility Manchester event that we did, and it says, "Make accessibility accessible. I'm not criticising WCAG, but it's not exactly a 10-minute light read." Now this quote really stuck with me and really got me thinking. If we can't make accessibility accessible, then how can we expect anyone to actually do accessibility? So the quote's referring to the web content accessibility guidelines, the accessibility standards that we all follow generally in digital. And I've got the homepage of the web content accessibility guidelines here, and already there's a lot going on. There's a lot of specialist language, and it's quite overwhelming. In our work, we often come across phrases like, "We support WCAG AA guidelines and some of the AAA," or "It's up to you which bits of AAA you support." But what does this actually mean? It's not very inclusive, it's not very accessible, it's not very clear what you're talking about when you hear this. It can leave teams thinking, well, what should we be covering? And also it can leave decision makers and stakeholders thinking, what should we be supporting, or even completely unaware of what we're meant to be supporting. So how do we solve this problem? Well, there's lots of things that we can do, but at Co-op, one of the things we're trying out is using our own accessibility standards internally. The psychologist Gerd Gigerenzer studies how humans make decisions, and his main finding from his work is that simple rules often outperform complex models. So for example, a fielder in cricket or in baseball or something like that, they aren't calculating the trajectory when they make a catch. They aren't using any complicated mathematical model or anything like that. They're using a simple rule called the gaze heuristic, which helps them work out where they need to be to make a catch. And we didn't have anything like this really for accessibility, so we decided to see if we could make some simple rules around accessibility. We reviewed the web content accessibility guidelines and we organised them under simple rules. So our simple rule, let users control audio, animation and video, covers 7 WCAG guidelines. And you can see we've got audio control, pause, stop, hide, and loads more covered by just this one rule. We've applied content design principles. So a lot of accessibility is content design, but quite often it doesn't actually have content design applied to accessibility information or to guidelines and standards. You know, they're not clear, they're not concise, they're not actionable. So we've used plain English and we've avoided specialist terms as much as possible. For example, web content accessibility guidelines say navigational mechanisms that are repeated on multiple web pages within a set of web pages occur in the same relative order each time they are repeated unless a change is initiated by the user. Whew. We say use menus, buttons and icons consistently. We've made them actionable. So for example, do not use images of text except for logos and product shots, so it's a clear statement. We've structured them, so we created a very basic content model for our standards to follow with a simple rule at the top, and if you want you can just take that and use it, but then there's more detail if you need it or if you want it, with an outline of the problem, what we know works well, some good and bad examples, and which WCAG guidelines are being covered by this standard or this simple rule. So it's version 1 and we know we can improve them, but we've already had some good feedback. This is from a designer who said, really simple to understand and apply to designs. It's a really nice simplification of standards I've always found a bit overwhelming. And I promise you, I did not make that quote up. Like, I couldn't have made it more perfect, but there we are. That's a true quote. Very pleased with that. Accessibility is not only about compliance, it's about changing the culture. So to do that, we've got to give people the tools, we've got to make accessibility accessible. We hope that having our own simplified internal standards can be one of many things that helps us along the way to changing that culture and doing this. You can find the standards at coop.co.uk/accessibility/standards. And please do go and take a look, check them out. And if you've got any feedback at all, you can send that to accessibility@coop.co.uk, and we'd really love to hear what you think. And that's all from me. Thank you.